changed my mind.
I
mean, I clicked the wrong one. I thought I did like the 10-second intro, but
yeah, you did 5 minutes.
I saw that. I said, "Oh hell!" Like we ain't doing that one. Instead, here, this is what the audience I wanted them to see. Let me see if this will work. All right, there we go. Little bit of a flex.
Mr. Clipple.
Yeah, I know it. I just saw some guy on Facebook saying some stuff about it, and he called me and Amir amateurs, and I was like, hey, dude, if you still don't understand it and you're calling us amateurs, what does that make you? But I didn't reply because
I've been doing this over 30 fucking years.
Yeah,
like crazy. hundreds of systems.
Yeah,
every shape and size. I guess I'm an amateur.
Welcome everybody to
hello,
my little piece of the corner. Yeah. I'm Aaron, and this is Don. Don, do you want to say hey?
Hello.
Hello. I think I'm not going to do the intros because, Don, I'm pretty sure everybody knows who you are, but how about this for a quick intro? Don is a professional audio guru. I am not a professional audio guru. I'm just an audio guy. So that's the difference. Like, Don gets paid and has earned his pay in the audio industry. Nobody's paying me. So
that sucks because you're a disruptor in this industry.
Yeah.
You know, we're quite different in our approach, but I love and respect you. You know that. I've always said that since I met you years ago. Mm-hmm. I think you're a disruptor in this industry, and I think you're doing God's work, to be honest with you. You know, I don't even want to do specs anymore. I'm like, just watch Aaron shit. You know what I mean? Like, I've done this so long and I've heard so many systems. I'm not scientific and my hearing's not 100% what it was when I was 18. But I'll tell you this, I can hear a lot of differences in speakers and usually pretty good at telling you what's good and what's not because I test them in different rooms in different ways. But I think in this space, there's room for guys like you and guys like me. And give people a multitude of opinions on how they should spend their hard-earned money. I don't say, hey, you got to listen to me or you're a jerk. I'm just saying I respect and love you deeply. You know that.
Well, I feel the same way right back at you, brother. So, yeah, man, we're starting this off with positive brotherly love here. And, you know, honestly, like for those who don't know, Don and I have known each other for a while now. We talk pretty regularly behind the scenes, and we've been talking more lately than normal, I guess. So we talked about doing a live stream, and we just decided tonight, hey, it would be fun. We'll take some.
We did the one on Audioholics.
On Audioholics, yeah.
Which I'm picking that back up because for you guys that don't know me, I would hope that that's few, but I've worked with audioholics.com and Audioholics for many years. I've done written, published reviews, and as well as hundreds of live streams and various videos and show coverage. I have started my own channel. Can I do a plug? Because I need a plug.
Yeah, I was going to, but please go ahead.
I'm like Digital Don AV.
Yes.
So Digital Don was a name that I got in the early 2002 because I was such a nerd. Everybody's like, oh, you're Digital Don. Anyways, I have a YouTube channel now on my own. I still work with Audioholics, and I work with Shane Lee, and I work with Giles McCoy, and I work with, Michael Youthman. We're all good friends. Trying to better educate and arm you guys before you spend your money. But please like and subscribe to my channel. I could use it. I don't want to have to go buy 100,000 viewers from India. Come on. Hook a brother.
Yeah, man. It's expensive. Rupees? Is that what?
Rupees? That's like 1 billion rupees. Or what is that? Rupees? Rupees?
Ruples?
Rupees. The rhythm. The ripple.
Ruples. I guess I was thinking like scruples. I don't know, man.
So I love that you use 80s music for your demo shit, dude.
Oh, man.
I always start off with Madonna Vogue. That is one of the most badass recordings.
It is.
All time.
Come on. Do you use the Immaculate Conception version? Well, because that one's done in Q sound.
Collection.
Right. Oh God. You know what's funny is I was trying to stop myself from saying the wrong thing and I still said the wrong thing. Yeah, Madonna's probably far from immaculate.
Definitely lately, I've been saying the wrong thing a lot. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. Oh, what a year, Mr. Aaron. 2025 has definitely, my friend, been one for the books.
Yeah, man. I feel like that's every year. But
wow, come on.
Well, I mean, you know, the past few years, I feel like every year is just like, man, all right, what next is coming down the line? But you know, what doesn't kill us make us stronger, right? So
yeah, no, well, we said that the other day. Absolutely. Yeah. So I've had a kind of a crazy year. In March, I had a major surgery called a laminectomy, kids, and highly recommend that you get 4th, 5th, and 6th opinions before you have any kind of surgery these days, because I probably could have fixed my problem through different kinds of therapy. And anyways, I had this surgery. I had a complication called C5 palsy, and I lost use of both my arms for about 2 months, and it sucked, believe me. So I'm just on the rebound. You know, I went from 240, you know, benching over 300 pounds to 189. Now I'm back to 200. So this saying, man, medical industry sucks.
Yeah, that stuff's scary, man. Anytime people start messing around your nerves, I've had back surgery, and it's scary. You know, that's one of the ones where every time you have some kind of procedure, they always talk about the risks. And if you're like me, normally you're just thinking, yeah, who cares? Let's just get this one done over with, right? But when I had the back surgery, I was very much paying attention. I was thinking, gosh, please don't let any of these things happen. And it sounds like you had some things happen, but I'm glad that you are back, man, because there was a while I think everybody was a little bit worried that you might be stuck like that.
No, dude, I was worried. I couldn't. Yeah. So I got 2 months into it, I got a phone call that my best friend, that literally we're in the cradle together, had a stroke and he was dying. He was in hospice care. His wife called me, and I was like, how could you not go see your best friend? I couldn't fly because I couldn't carry luggage. So I would literally drug my ass off the couch into my car. Unfortunately, I have a Lexus SUV that really easy to drive. And I retaught myself how to drive in 3 days. And then I set out on a journey from Tampa, Florida to Louisville, Kentucky to see my friend through a tornado, a hailstorm, and a flat tire. But I made it. And after that, I decided to just change up everything, man. So I wound up moving to North Georgia from Tampa, Florida. And I live on a mountain on a farm. And I'm using the farm. I'm working every day to try to rehab myself. A very, very good friend of mine for many, many years owns this place. And now I'm in this cool barn house, which you can see is kind of funky cool, depending on what you like. And I'm about ready to kick out a whole bunch more videos.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, we're glad you're back.
Thank you.
I can confidently say that I speak for everybody in the community. You know, I'll say this. I've been doing the YouTube thing for a while now, and there are people that I enjoy watching. There are people that you couldn't make me watch them if you peeled my eyes back, and you know, the bad stuff. There's some guys I just don't like. So there's people who don't like me, don't like other people, don't like blah, 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 blah. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about you. So you've got that going for you, man.
That's dude, there's a bunch of people who think I'm a dick. It's okay.
You know what? Though?
I am. No, dude,
I've never heard anybody say that about you. We're not going to get all lovey-dovey. I'm just telling you, I've been around this for a while. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about you. And I know that everybody's glad that you're back up and running.
Dude, thank you.
Yeah, dude, you got this. Thank you. Let's try to see if we can answer some questions. Or is there anything that you would like to talk about, you know, to kind of break the ice here?
Let me look at chat on this new thing, man. Yeah, dude. So I got this new pad. I'm living in a house that was a barn converted into a house, and I've got multiple things going on. Like, you know, my office here, I've got my RBH monitors. In my master bedroom, I've got like a little 2-channel demo system I'm gonna shoot some videos on. And the main system's like a big great room open. I've got the Arundel 1528s and the Acurus Act 4 with dual amps. It's pretty dope. Sony's sending me a 98-inch TV for review that I'm gonna mount up. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Then I'm gonna work with I think Seymour Screens and Epson and do like because I was an integrator for 30 years. I mean, that's what we do. We do cool shit. I'm gonna have like a 140-inch screen or so drop in front of the 98. Because if 98 is not big enough at 12 foot away or 14 foot away. Sorry. It's gonna be dope. And I'm going to, move stuff around as we do to do reviews. Then I've got a guest room that I'm going to put. It's going to be the ultimate audio guest room. I'm going to put the full RBH SVTR system in it. So lots going on. Going to shoot some cool outdoor stuff here on the farm. Make the best of it, man. But I'm going to put out a lot more content. I'm working with Brad, Home Theater Gamer, who did a bunch of work for Michael. He works with Gina Audioholics. Guys, just the best in the business, in my opinion. And he's going to kind of partner up with me, and we're going to do some stuff. I do consulting for integration companies in any capacity, being an integrator forever, or integration companies that want to add high-end audio to their mix, or high-end audio companies, as I'm working with a company in South Carolina, that want to add integration to the mix. So trying to diversify, man, since I'm not a full-time integrator anymore.
Right. Yeah, no, that's cool. I'm really interested to see what you've got coming up next. So, real fast, our buddy Chana says, "What's up, Don?"
Oh, my boy. Dude, he's such a cool guy, man.
Chana is good people.
I mean,
he's another
have
one.
You ever heard him sing?
No, I still haven't heard him sing. I mean, I've heard him
like, I sing
playing.
karaoke. He's like, I sing karaoke, and I'm like, all right, cool. We had a couple drinks. This mofo who gets up there and like, fucking, he's Anthony Kiedis, dude. I'm like, look at this shit. He's really good, really talented guy.
Yeah.
Love his music. Love the mixes that he's doing. Love what he's doing, kind of bridging the recording and multi-channel Atmos to the home theater, home audio community. He's the sauce, dude. Chana's my boy.
Yeah,
I dig him.
You mentioned that you do consulting. Can you?
I do.
Can you talk about any of the kind of?
Sure. I mean, if you're
part of,
if you're built, well, I mean, it's as a consultant or what I've done, because it'd be a while.
Well, maybe give it. How about this?
Okay.
Because I have an idea, and I know maybe some you can't talk about, but give us maybe a couple of like the coolest jobs. Maybe not necessarily the most expensive, but like for you, your favorite that you were like, oh man, I did that and that was awesome. That you can't talk about.
Working with Matthew Pose, doing a stupid expensive theater in the biggest single family home in America in Orlando. It's not hard to figure it out. There's documentaries on that stuff. We did full Trinov, the Altitude 32 with the 64 channel extension. Every speaker was active. Every driver was active. All the calibration and crossover points were done inside the Trinov. I did the theater at the Patel Residence in Tampa, which is like 16 acres, one of the biggest homes in them. It's really a multitude of homes cooked together. I've done many celebrities, many sports figures. I mean, won a bunch of awards. I don't know what else to say, dude. I mean, I've been an integrator as long as there's been a thing of integrators.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been doing this for a long time, man.
So what I've done is made every mistake in the business and step back and try to grow. And if you're not growing, you're dying. You always have to be aware of new technology and what's coming down the road. Mm-hmm. So I've done that, and I've stepped back and looked at the industry as a whole, and especially in marketing. Marketing's something I'm going to do. I have a service with my business, Digital Don Consulting.
Okay.
And so if you're an integrator, we can come in and shoot video. We can shoot a bunch of marketing videos. Anybody really, because I will be narrating. I will script it. I will. If we're doing an interview, I'll interview with somebody. But I think the credibility comes from me being an actual integrator and not some generic marketing company that charges crazy money to put out generic posts on Instagram and this and that nobody ever reads, versus somebody who's done it and can talk to potential clients about what this company offers.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. So you mentioned Genghis Don Consulting. So I'm going to throw up a link to your Facebook page.
On Facebook, website.
Yeah. And if you've got another one, then you can send me that later, and I'll tag it on here. But
ever since I lost some weight and had to stop full-figured male exotic dancing, I had to find other ways to make money. I mean, bitches love that. Bitches love that.
Yeah, no, I've got so many things, but it's like I'm trying to keep this at least like PG-13 here, Okay, so here's a question. First question from Moist Garage. Maybe you need climate control in that garage. I don't know. Hi, new here. Got a question. I want to set up a 5.1 theater. It will be my first setup. Any budget recommendation speakers? Was thinking Polk XT60 front, XT30 center, and XT15 rear and sub. Thanks. Well, I will say that in terms of budget-friendly speakers, the Polk XT stuff is really good. I think the XT15 and the XT20 are probably the best budget-friendly bookshelf speakers out there.
Ooh, how much are they?
So the XT20 I think is retail at $250, and maybe the 15 is like $200.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes they'll go on sale for like $50 off or something like that.
Really budget.
Yeah. So the towers, they're not perfect, right? They're not without their faults, but based off of what I can recall, I think they're probably up there in that same regard as well, as far as being the better of the available budget-friendly tower speakers. But they're bookshelf speakers for sure.
Polk's killing it. I mean, at Audio Advice Live, we listened to a Polk system with a Epson value projector. I think the 9,000 or 4,000. I can't remember. Wow, sounded amazing. Polk, really diminishing returns, man.
Yeah. Speaking of Audio Advice, I watched yours and Gene's where y'all did the like walkthroughs and stuff. First of all, I thought the production quality of that was really cool. I like how y'all did that. I don't know whose idea. I don't know if that was Gene's, yours, or Brad's. That was really good.
We all worked together on it. I mean, we did walk around and see a lot of systems,
Yeah, I thought that was really good. Is there anything that you were especially excited about from that? Because I haven't asked you. I haven't thought about it.
Dude, the new Focal high output theater system was amazing.
Yeah.
Very neutral. I know you always say Focal's bright. I say forward to neutral. That's where we go. No.
Dude,
I love the way they sound, but this system
some of them are, and then some of them aren't. So it depends.
It's all subjective. This system in particular had stupid output, stupid dynamics, was very neutral, very clean, very clear. I really was impressed. And also their powered Diva speakers. They introduced the new Diva, the larger one. It with the DSP and the system they have for calibration and just the aesthetics of it, it's a pretty badass package, man.
Yeah, I talked to the Focal rep there. I don't want to say names here, but
Wendy.
Okay, yeah, I guess we're going to say names here about maybe getting a pair of those. She sent me the Aria Evo X number 2s that I reviewed. I thought those were a little bit too bright in the treble. But when I sent them back, and I was like, maybe there's a chance, if you guys are interested, I'd love to test out the Meza. That's their new one, and then the is it the Diva? The other one?
Diva, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I asked about those two, and who knows? I mean, you just never know. Some manufacturers are like, sure, and then other manufacturers are like, yeah, that's going to take a lot of work, so probably not. But I'm crossing my fingers, man, because they look cool. They got all the DSP stuff built into them. I'm just like, yeah, that'd be awesome.
It's all about what you like, dude. I've owned multiple pairs of Focal speakers. I like the sound. I like that they're a little crisper, I guess. But I'm not a clips guy. I'm not a horn guy. I've heard some JBL stuff I like that sounded good, and obviously JTR and RTJ. But for the audio, which are horn, horn-based. That's how you say it. Really good. But for the most part, I don't really like horns, but I like the sound of Focal. I think it's a little different. I think people need to go listen. You give them that data. This is what it does.
Yeah.
If my opinion, if you just buy a speaker without hearing it, and you're not doing yourself justice.
I would agree. No, I would agree. I think that I think that the only caveat to that is, I'll say this first and then I'll caveat it. I think buying a speaker off of data alone is probably a bad idea unless you know the data well enough. You've got enough experience with enough different speakers and you've got the data for those, and you are able to make a reasonable conclusion about how that's likely to perform in your room.
1 out of 100 people can do that.
I was going to say, but there's not many people who can do that. You know, even I still would not buy solely off of data. And let's not forget the fact, because I feel like sometimes this is lost in the aspect of discussing measurements and listening. So it grates my nerves, and it shouldn't, but it grates my nerves that people just automatically assume that I don't like a speaker because it doesn't measure well.
I got to take a bio break.
Okay, I'll keep going then.
Okay, good. You're on a tangent.
Yeah. I listen to speakers first and foremost, always, and I think you all know that. And while Don is not here, I'm going to put this to the side for a second, and I'll see him pop back up. Where was I at? Don threw me off. Give me a second. I think that if you buy a speaker based off measurements only, it's probably not a good idea. But narrowing down a list of options based on data is completely fine. There's just not enough experience, I find, where if you don't know what you like you haven't had enough opportunity to listen to different speakers and see the data, then it's going to be harder for you to make use of the available data, other than to say, yeah, this thing is showing some significant flaws here or there, maybe at one frequency or another, or there's extreme distortion, or it doesn't go low enough, and I know that I need it to go to, I don't know, 60 hertz or something like that. So the data can be used very well on its own in those regards. But at the end of the day, you got to listen to the speaker. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. The looks of stuff, man, and the pride of ownership. At the end of the day, so we talk about blind listening.
It matters.
We talk about blind listening. First of all, I'll say this to the people who I see on forums and I see on Facebook and I see in comment sections all the time. Where somebody will say, I listen to XYZ thing, you know, and I notice this difference. Well, listen, I can very well be reading that and be rolling my eyes like, good Lord. But the thing that aggravates me is people will jump on this other person immediately and say, well, did you level match it and do a proper ABX? When the people who are saying that have never done that themselves. So I think if you're going to say that, then you got to take the time to do that yourself and speak from experience, because I got to be honest, man, I don't know anyone personally, that at least that's not a professional in the industry that has done this for research purposes, who has truly done blind ABX testing with electronics. Doing that with speakers is a whole different order of magnitude, and some people have done that. So anyway, that frustrates me. But getting back off of my tangent here and getting back on the track, yeah, dude, there's pride of ownership and there's the way that something looks, and you can't ignore those. And I just had somebody this weekend that I did consulting work with, and he flat out told me, if I've got a pair of speakers that cost $5,000, I've got another pair that costs $4,000. The one that costs $5,000 costs that much because their finish is better, but maybe they don't sound as good as the $4,000. I'm still taking the $5,000 one because I want to like what I see every day. And I'm like, makes perfect sense, man. So describe to me what sound you're looking for, and I'll figure out a way to get you there.
Well, so let's step back. I'll give you my opinion on buying speakers, right? Looking at it. Imagine stepping in. It's like you want to swim, but you put your foot in the ocean. Like, I'm going to go research, and then boom, YouTube and blah, blah, blah. You're pulled in a million different directions. You don't know who to believe. Trust the science, trust this, trust that. Let's trust the reality is this. Most influencers or reviewers are just hobbyists that stepped into it, and they've heard some systems, they've heard a few, they've had a couple in their room. If they're honest, that's cool. You know, but if you're making buying decisions on Joe out in, you know, Utah, or Fred up in New York State, who's just a hobbyist and he's heard like 12 systems in his life. Well, I mean, the reality is, who do you want to like listen to? Do you want to listen to somebody who's in the business, not trying to sell you something,
but
enthusiastic. So here's the deal. Measurements absolutely matter. Anybody that says they don't is an idiot. You need measurements at some capacity. Do I believe, look, if I was speccing a stadium and maybe the measurements would be okay, but I'm talking about home listening, what you're going to live with. Yes, looks matter. If you're an idiot, if you say they don't, if not, go buy some Ascendos or some shit, right? Buy something. You're going to look at it. It's a piece of furniture. It's part of who you are. Unless you have a theater with an acoustics lit, transparent screen and everything's hidden, which is the trend that most people do now anyways. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that you need to listen, and you need to try to either listen in multiple rooms or multiple areas, which is really damn near impossible. Because if you go to a beautiful showroom and high-end electronics and acoustic treatments on the walls, you're like, damn, these things sound good. But you get them home to your apartment, they sound completely different because nobody talks about the room. Yeah. The room is critical. So then that's why you need measurements. Measurements let you know if you want to talk to this girl on Match.com, right? Like the measurements. But dating her and being around her is when you want to know if you want to marry her. And that's an analogy from my boy Teo from Audioholics, but it's true. It's what you do is absolutely critical. And I hope that what I do, given my subjective opinion, listening, and I'm not doing measurements because everybody measures them to death, right? Yeah. Why? And I make my videos short so people don't have to sit there for 22 minutes. But listen to the speakers and listen to other people and buy them and be happy with them. Don't just sit there and go, oh, no, if I got the Kefs, I could have had a little of this. Dude, sit there and enjoy it. Yeah. Listen, that's the sauce. Stop being like, do you like the music or the idea? Do you like the movie or just the hobby? And it's okay if you love the hobby.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I've been in it forever.
Yeah,
but just enjoy it. Buy it.
Yeah,
and you're going to get led in a million directions. Just watch a bunch of different people and get to know who they are. I think everybody finds a trusted reviewer. I think we all have our own little following or people. I know I do. I know you do as well. Find somebody you trust and then get multiple opinions. I'm going to do more stuff with Aaron because I love and respect what he does, and I'm going to give my opinion on stuff. Maybe some manufacturers can send me something and send it to you or vice versa. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, you made a lot of good points and a lot of things that I was like, yeah, there's that. I will say that my experience tends to roll into that if a speaker measures well, has good off-axis dispersion, doesn't really matter the room. But if a speaker measures poorly off-axis and it has rising response at some frequencies and dripping response at another frequency, then the room is a big factor. And I used to test in 2 different rooms when I lived in my other house. I can't really do that now. And there were some speakers that did well in my home theater room, which was fully isolated and then had all sorts of acoustic treatment. And then they wouldn't do well in my living rooms, open space, no sidewall on one side, glass on the other side. So it definitely varied.
That group on Facebook, Roast My Rig? I think I invited you to.
Oh, yeah, man. I was in that.
Roast My Rig? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I put my system up, right? So I moved to this barn house, and I've got the Arndals, and I've got like $27,000 worth of Accurus electronics and amps running it, and Opos and Control 4. 4 RTJ, which are JTR sealed subs, 10,000 watts, and acoustic treatments all over key locations that blend in with the room. And the amount of internet trained comments was just hilarious. Like, you need more acoustic, you need carpet on that floor. No, you don't, you dumbass. You don't need carpet on your floor. Shut up. But it's just funny to me, I'm a pro. That's what I do. And the room sounds amazing, right. But it's a family room, which is a lot kind of what I specialize in, because most people can't have dedicated theater rooms, as you know. It's just, to me, that was a general snapshot of the industry. People just are parrots. What about the measurements? What about the acoustics? They don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah, no. And the thing that I've run into a lot is people will talk about having acoustic paneling and treatments in a room. And you've got to take, and this, there's the room and there's the speaker. Sometimes you treat the room for the room. Sometimes you treat the room for the speaker.
Bingo.
And then you also do both, you know,
Right.
but you can't. I've seen some other people that will have, I don't want to say generic, but they'll have a lot of exquisite room treatment, but they'll be swapping speakers in and out all the time. And I'm like, yeah, you need to be moving that room treatment down and trying different things, because you may have treatment for a speaker that really doesn't need it per se. And all the spatial effects are being lost by you capturing all these other things that you don't need to capture. You've got to separate that. There's treatment for the room, there's treatment for the speaker.
Dude,
Synergy.
you're absolutely right. So, and everybody thinks they can just do, we're going to do this and that, and it's going to be sound perfect. Yeah. I've never done a room that didn't need tweaking and calibration and moving a speaker and dialing a speaker. And dude, I've done so long. I've done so many systems. Like,
yeah,
I get it. Like, people are full of shit. They don't know. I mean, how many people follow you, just regurgitate what you say? Not really
unfortunately, unfortunately, it's a lot, and I don't want that from people. Like, the last thing I want this stuff to be is a cult. Like, the reason I present data is so people can understand what it means. It's not to understand like, oh, this means this is the best speaker. Nope, there's no absolute best. Even my favorite speaker has compromises.
Every speaker is
like every speaker has a compromise somewhere. Yeah, I mean, it is.
There's no perfect speaker. Get a system, you know, whether it's 2-channel or surround. I love both. You can have both, right? Get your front speakers dialed in off the wall, find the right, you know, off axis point that you want to, you know, set them up, get the room dialed in, add your center and rears, and just enjoy it. Like, everybody's just, it's an obsession with some people, but just enjoy it, man. Enjoy the music, enjoy the movies. I got tons of playlists I'll share with people that I've been building for years on Tidal, Qobuz, and Apple Music. People think paid shills. Well, none of us make any money from doing this, dude. We do it because we're passionate.
Yeah, some of us do. I mean, realistically, yeah.
I don't.
But I know what you're saying. Yeah. I
think our walls are all rusted out.
I'm living in an auto parts replacement store. I shared a screenshot of my earnings from the Cart video. It was $90, and I checked it a couple days ago, and it was sitting right at 100.
Big money.
Like,
big money.
Like people just assume that. Again, some people can make good money on this, but the vast majority of us are definitely not making money on this.
You have a real job, and I have a real job.
Oh, I have to, and I have to. There's no way.
You have to too. I'd starve to death doing this.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way. All right, so we talk about setting the speaker up. Now, this is something that I really would like to talk more about in my videos, because it matters. And I had a consult about a month and a half ago. A guy in town. It's kind of a funny story, but it turns out the dude lived like 5 minutes across the road for me. So I went over to his house. He had really good gear, and I was listening, and I was like, man, the focus is off, and there's some things that just aren't sitting right with me. So I said, you mind if I reposition the speakers? He's like, no, man, that's why you're here. That's what I'm paying you for. I was like, cool. So I got up, and I wound up aiming the speakers to where they were asymmetric. So one speaker was almost on axis, and the other one was towed off a little bit more. Okay. And when I did that, the soundstage balanced out, the center locked right in. I raised the speaker up about 1 inch, and everything was good. And it was night and day difference. And it's not like, oh, I think there was night and day difference. I need to ABX this. No, dude, I'm way past that. Like, it was night and day. And then I took one band of EQ'd around like 50 hertz, got a null out. And he was like, man, this is the best money I've ever spent. And like, I'm going back to help him set up subwoofers when he gets them. So the setup is key. But unfortunately, that's one of those things where you have to go in person. I mean, I can probably walk you through doing some REW measurements and maybe get you close. But at the end of the day, you know, you've got to be there, and you've got to figure out how to set them up. And that's not something that I've ever been able to figure out how to teach anybody without being there in person and essentially like training.
Yeah, remote calibration. So for years we did very expensive high-end theaters, sound rooms, and we had RTA meters and audio control bijous and, you know, EQs, right?
Oh,
we didn't have Dirac or REW or any of that.
Yeah.
And amazingly enough, we came up with this badass sounding systems over and over. the room setup is critical. If you're going to do either a surround or a 2-channel system, obviously a 2-channel, the placement and setup of your front, left, and right speakers, in my opinion, in my experience, which is vast, is that's critical. Get your front, left, and right correct. Off the wall, the toe, a little bit of difference in the toe. Try to do that triangle if you can, but it's not critical, and get those set up. Then add your center. Well, they're 90% of the dialogue. Well, yeah, absolutely. But if you're sitting in the right position, you don't even need a center with the right stereo pair. It was indistinguishable, I assure you, from a center channel. It's when you're in different, more steward locations or in the back. So get that set up and then build your system around from that. Then the DSPs and calibrations are luxuries. Everybody thinks that they're absolutely critical. And yes, in a lot of ways, especially on the bass management, the room. But if you mechanically set, and I call it mechanically setting it up, your bed layer, analog, and then add some DSP to it. And then just because it looks pretty on a chart does not mean that shit sounds good to you. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. I have changed more systems over the years that just had a beautiful flat chart, right? You might disagree. I'm telling you the nature of human beings.
No, yeah. Well, first of all, I would never want flat in room.
Right.
Definitely don't want that.
Right.
Yeah. But the speakers dictate that curve too. That's another thing. Like
absolutely, dude. It's synergy. Think about it. You have a brain, you have a heart, you have a circulatory system, you have organs. I mean, it's a system is a system. It's a breathing thing, as a metaphor. But I mean, it really is. There's a lot that goes into it. But don't just think you're going to direct that shit to sound good no matter what you got, because that ain't how it works.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real. Like, you can probably make it sound really good with suboptimal placement and direct, but really good is a far cry from excellent or fantastic. Once you've heard excellent or fantastic, it's a different level. It really is.
I do all my systems that I set up till I get goosebump level. Like Todd, that's what I do in different rooms and different setups. Now, granted, the level, if it's a $750 a pair of bookshelves like the Starks Beta 7s that I just reviewed, you take that into account. But for what something is, how does it make me feel? How does this, like, that I've calibrated it? And by doing all this calibration in different rooms, I learn the speaker, if that makes sense. I learn what it's good at, what it's not good at.
Yeah, by using it enough. Yeah. I mean, and I kind of cheat by having measurements, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a means to an end in the same regard. I'll say this too, and this is not to contradict you. I say this because I know you are 100% on board. I don't even need good speakers or a good system to get goosebumps. I can get goosebumps listening through my phone when it's sitting on the counter and I'm doing paperwork or something. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah. I mean, to a point, we're talking about, so I group audio when I talk to my clients, right? In the two groups, passive and active. Passive is maybe a set of headphones when you're working, or some background speakers in a ceiling, or a Sonos or something while you're cooking.
Yeah, you're not paying attention.
Right. That's passive listening, right? And it might catch your ear, and that doesn't mean it has to sound bad, but that's passive. Speakers out by the pool. But active listening is when you physically move to a position to either listen to music or watch a movie. That's where the magic happens, right? You can get into a song passively, but you live it when you're active listening.
Yeah,
my dog's freaking out. Give me two. I'm so sorry, guys.
No, you're fine. You're good. My dog's sitting right here. All right, so he'll come back. Let me see here. I had a couple questions that I'm gonna come back to real fast. And Bradimus had it. Okay, Bradimus, this is a good point. You're saying distances from walls, raising or lowering, timing with the sub. These little things make huge differences. Yeah. So the timing with the sub, for sure, but also the phase integration at the sub to the mains, because when you set up that crossover, you can get pretty close and still not realize how far away you are from ideal. or the best you can get with your system. But when you finally do get to that point and you get it as good as it possibly can be, which usually is like, let's say going from 80% to 100%, that's a different ball game. And that's kind of what Don and I are talking about here, is going from a good system to a fantastic one. So for me, the difference typically between a good system and a fantastic one, most speakers, especially if they take well to EQ, I can make them sound similar in tonality in the same room. But for me, what separates the men from the boys in that regard is the way that I feel enveloped in the sound and the way that the sound stage is carried out into the room. And is it a small window here and I've got to be in that dead exact precise location, or does it feel like it's large and encompassing? That to me is like the next level. And when I have a speaker that does that and provides really good tonality, that's next level. That's where it's at for me.
Dude, my thing is to bring people in to my home, wherever I live, and listen to my systems. And I do the little tour. I do the big system, and I do like my desk so they can hear what like a professional near field monitor sounds like to a 2-channel system in a bedroom. But really, the sauce for me is to sit somebody down for the first time, let them really hear a true kick badass high-end system that just owns them, dude. Like they're like I did not know this existed. Wow, I've never heard that song that way. And it's an active thing we do. It's active listening. We go sit specifically to listen to music or specifically to watch a movie. That's the sauce. And you can have both. And there's a place in everybody's home. As an integrator, we would do a family room system. Many of our clients had theaters or media rooms, but we also had distributed audio everywhere through the home. We had distributed audio outside. Many times we put them on the front porch so people entertaining at Christmas or holidays could have holiday music playing. You know, having that music everywhere is great, but there's nothing like the experience of sitting down and hearing your first powerful, really dialed in high-end 2-channel system or Atmos music or even Ready Player One on surround, right? But that's what I live for. You know, I do this for a living as an integrator, which really nothing to do with most people here. But when I do all this YouTube stuff and the reviews that I do, I don't make no money on this, dude. I'm lucky to even get airfare sometimes to go somewhere. Usually not. I do this because I'm like you. I've done it forever, but I still dig it. I dig
awesome, dude.
Jamming, dude. Like when I'm done with this, I'm gonna go, you know, have a beer and like close my eyes and listen, dude. That because music always changes. It's you buy a car, you know, it wears out quick. So many investments you can make. Rarely can you make an investment like you can in audio where it continues to pay dividends year after year after year. New music, new things come out. You add a component to it. Not just a hobby, dude. It's a decompression chamber for human beings. It is. So that being said, the science of it and the subjective opinion of experienced listeners should all be in your repertoire when you're trying to buy a speaker. Aaron's, you know, the Audioholics, the Shane Lees, the Giles, you know, the Andrew Robinson and his wife you can't see, but listen to them all and then make your own opinion, you know, based on that. You're smart people, but really listen. Go. Yeah. And I know it's not always easy unless you do like a direct to consumer like Arendal or SVS where they got money back things where you can try them. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and there's a few retailers, AudioVice, Crutchfield, and Amazon, right, where you can order them and try them out and send them back. I mean, I think that's kind of the no-brainer way to go. And I'll say this too, that if you go to a store, my experience has been if you go into a store, maybe they have speakers set up in a large space that looks nothing like your room, then they typically do have rooms, right? So you can say, I'm really interested in buying this, but I would like to get a better idea of what this is going to sound like in a room. And they'll lug them into a room for you and you set them up and listen to them in there. And that gets you closer to what you're going to have in your house. Or some retailers will allow you to, you know, put a little deposit down or leave your license with them or something. Take the speakers home for a weekend and try them out there. My local dealer, AVIQ, does that sometimes, and they've had a lot of return customers from that.
You don't know what it's going to sound like, no matter what you read or do, until you get it in your room. Period. That's why I always test speakers in different areas to see how they respond and how they work. Too close to the wall, too far from the wall,
Right.
etc. That's what I'm saying. The whole point of this is to look at subjective opinions from credible people, and look at objective opinions. Well, you kind of mix both together.
Yeah,
You listen,
definitely do both.
You know, the whole noise thing on there is kind of cool too. At first, I'm like, come on, dude. And I'm like, well, yeah, I get it now.
It's not perfect. You know? It has its own issues, but like, what else are you going to do? I can't come up with alternate ways. I can't come up with a better way.
Never buy a speaker based on somebody doing demos on YouTube. That's just retarded.
Yeah, no, that's not a good way to go about it.
Here, we'll do the comparison now, and you choose. I'm like, dude, they're both coming through they all sound like RBA. You know what I mean?
Yeah. At best, you can tell, like, okay, they're different in this regard, but even then, that's a no-go. So here's one for you. When it comes to home theater, I deal a lot with home theater speakers, but I don't review them from a home theater perspective, because in my opinion, a good stereo speaker can also make a good home theater speaker. And it depends on what you're trying to get from it, wide versus narrow dispersion, SPL capability. But I can look and I can factor in all these things. But what I don't really keep up with is, how is the home theater crowd trending? It almost seems like I'm seeing more people getting away from the Atmos setups and going back to a simple 5-point something setup in their room. Yeah. Really? Yeah, I'm seeing more and more of that, because that's when you're caught up in the Facebook groups and you're down in the trenches and the AVS forums, everybody's going crazy. But what I've gotten more requests for are simple 5.1 setups. I've gotten so many requests for that, under $1,000, under $2,000, all in. I don't want a sound bar, but I want a surround setup for $2,500, AVR speakers and sub. And I'm like, all right. So I'm just curious. I don't know if you've seen that, but maybe that's just the differences of where we're looking.
Going back a couple questions. Okay. So a really great 5.1 system set up properly sounds amazing. It's surround sound. It's killer. I mean, we did that for 100 years, metaphorically. You got to be careful.
Yeah. Relatively speaking.
I love them, but now, and a good 7.1 system. That's what we had. I mean, when I started doing this, dude, we had Pro Logic with dipolar speakers on the side, because it was 4 channels. Yeah. Like, it was center that was on the left channel, then rears on the right channel. And then you had dipolar, so it sounded like it was separating, even though it wasn't separate. I think if you can do Atmos and you choose not to do it for whatever reason, you're an idiot, because Atmos sounds amazing. Okay. Amazing. Not so much just on movies, but on Atmos music. Atmos music is getting better and better and better. And I don't know why people would be anti-Atmos, other than they can't do it. If you can't do it, great.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is people saying, like, I've got this new place, or I've got this room, and I can't go cut the ceilings, and I can't add this or that or whatever. It's not that they don't want to, it's just that they can't. So they go back down.
As far as speakers that are dedicated home theater, right? Your Ascendos and that type versus a high fidelity speaker. So two things are super critical: dynamic compression, like how loud or how SPL output, and how does it sound at high volume, continuous, and how easy it is to place. Because 99% or 98% of theaters I've done have all been behind acoustically transparent screens or built into a wall. People don't want to look at speakers. Yeah, I don't know why, because I love looking at speakers. People don't. So, that's the two worlds we live in. Usually a dedicated home theater speaker is designed as a sub-satellite, designed to be crossed over at a certain point, 80 hertz, 100 hertz, 60 hertz, whatever. And it's high output because it needs to be, and it has to have usually a very controlled dispersion to it, like the old THX speakers did. Yeah. Now, maybe like the point source, like Ascendos and whatnot, might be a little bit different, but you wanted to try to reduce the interaction between the floor and the ceiling. That's a dated mindset from THX, but it is. But really, output, dynamics capability, and placeability. There are speakers that do both. Like I'm very fond of the Arundel 1528s, which play very loud, very dynamic. They look cool and whatnot, but really hard to put those towers in a theater, or maybe even their monitors, unless you had an acoustically transparent screen. Yeah. So then a speaker like an Ascendo, a Triad, some RBHs, some of those speakers really make a lot more sense. Does that make sense? Yeah. What I said?
No, 100%. Yeah.
So they're designed differently. Doesn't mean, a good speaker is a good speaker. I've heard that 100 times. Well, yeah, go listen to early 2000s THX speakers and tell me how good they were.
Yeah. Okay.
They just weren't that great musically.
Right.
Like M&K 150s, which every movie known to man was recorded on for years, sound terrible in 2-channel stereo.
Oh yeah, they do.
They're horrible.
Yeah, they're horrible.
Unfathomable. Why? I owned them and put about 500 of them in theaters.
Yeah.
But in surround, dude, So there are exceptions to that rule, but dynamics and the physical nature of the speaker, where it can be placed.
Yeah. Okay.
That's kind of what separates those two.
Yeah, that makes sense. Personally, I think if I were to ever do a home theater, unless it were truly dedicated, and most likely it would be like a living room home theater, I'd probably just go in wall, man. It's just because for me, the aesthetic, if I'm trying to watch a movie, number one, I want LCR to be the same.
Right.
But the space that the acoustically transparent screen consumes if you use freestanding speakers, that's an issue. I also like the fact that you have the free boundary reinforcement and you don't have SBIR, like you don't have reflection from the front of the speaker to the back and then back in. That helps a lot. But just the overall aesthetic of having speakers that are hidden. When you walk into a room and you don't see a speaker, but you hear the sound. And that goes back to my car audio days, man. When I would do these installs, I would have systems that sounded fantastic. I mean, just so dang good. But I could see the speaker and it would mess with me. No matter how good it sounded, the fact that I could see the speaker messed with me. So if I hid the speaker, even if it wasn't quite as loud and dynamic, I still enjoyed it more because it felt like there's just sound emanating from space. It's weird, but that's how it felt.
Dude, there's all kinds of psychological factors that go into that. But, as integrators, I would say 95% of all speakers we installed were architectural because people just don't want to see speakers. Or if it was a box speaker, it was usually behind a screen or in a wall. Mm-hmm. I mean, every now and then we would do 2-channel towers or bookshelves, which I love and enjoy, but people just didn't want to look at it. They wanted streamline. Like I started in car audio like you did, big time. I asked the competition.
Yeah.
We talked about that. And in fact, a lot of the really good integrators in my realm that are creative and don't mind cutting and doing this and making magic like we've done, they were car stereo guys, truly custom on what you do. But a speaker does not have to sound bad if it's architectural or put in a wall. A lot of studios have speakers flushed in the wall, recording studios. Right. So
there's definitely benefits to that too.
Everybody's going by the cheap architectural speakers that they've seen for years. It's a new day now. Now you can spend $50,000 on a pair of in-wall or more on a pair of in-wall architectural speakers.
There was a brand, and I just thought of it, so I really have no idea who it was. Maybe you might know who it was, but they sent an email out. Man, it's probably been at least a year, maybe 2 or even 3. But they had these itty bitty, it's like little slim, they were line array speakers. They were probably about that wide.
You're Italian. Really K-array.
Say it again.
K-array.
Okay, I'm about to Google that.
Yeah, look them up real quick. Yeah, they make all kinds of crazy like speakers that big that play like 110 dB. This nut stuff, dude. They're an Italian company. We use them as integrators.
The Italian part sounds familiar to me. Microphones, monitors, systems. Speakers.
Yeah, K-array. I've used them.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's them. Here,
they even make flexible speakers.
I'm gonna bring this up just so people can see it because they look. When I saw them, I was like, "Well, first of all, why are they sending this to me?" But second of all, man, those look cool. You know,
they kick ass, dude. KRA is a great company. In fact, the KRA rep in Florida is one of my better friends. I've done them on installs. I've heard them, like stupid good for what you get. They even have, like I said, flexible speakers that you can wrap around a pole or something.
Yeah. So the ones I'm thinking of, they're put in a wall.
Huh?
The ones I'm thinking of, they were in wall. The ones that I'm seeing, yeah, like that.
So
like inside the wall.
You're a commercial speaker company. If you're having an outdoor music festival, or they can provide for that, or a nightclub, they can provide for that, or a restaurant. Then they moved into retail. If you have retail establishments, high-end, they've got speakers that disappeared. Then they moved into the home. And that's what we've discovered, because they're kind of a line array. And Aaron, as you know, those line arrays push sound out further, right? That's the beauty of a line array. And we could put K arrays on a wall or in a wall, and they would push that sound out much further than a conventional dome, or even, air motion tweeter that has a wider, they would carry that sound out further. And you're seeing a lot of that now. K array is a really legit company, not cheap, but good stuff.
Yeah, I remember when I looked them up and I saw the price, I was like, yikes. But they look like they're really well built, and they don't look like it's just something that's expensive for the sake of being
expensive. They're
like
a Meyer sound. They're built for war. Mil spec almost. So as an integrator, yes, I love, Paradigm and Focal and Polk and Perlison and Sonus Faber, and the list goes on, right?
Right.
But in my industry, my world, companies like Sonance and Speakercraft and it used to be Niles and KRA, these are different brands that we install because they specialize in these speakers. Paradigm and Martin Logan and everybody get into the integration space is a relatively new thing. A lot of these companies have been making architectural speakers since the 90s, right? Yeah. So they're really good at it. And if I go to a client and go, we're going to put all Sonance speakers, like Sonos, no, Sonance, or whatever similar brand. Now you can go with the major brands and do it, but we have a lot of different options as integrators to put sound in people's homes that aren't on the norm.
Yeah, well, so my local store and some of the people that I've talked with, their local stores they're pushing now like the WIM products, the Blue Sound, Node, stuff like that for whole house.
Works.
Yeah,
it works, dude.
And I guess from their perspective, it's probably easier to use those things than it is some of the other stuff that you normally would. I mean, I don't know. So
no, it is. So for years we would do an audio matrix, right? Usually a Triad or Audio Control, whatever brand, right? And then the audio matrix would go to multi-channel amplifiers, whether that be Niles or Sonance or whoever, right? And then those would go out to in-ceiling speakers throughout a home, and then you would use some kind of control system to play them. That works great. It saves space. There's a lot of positive reasons for it. But now you're starting to see more people do an in-wall speaker versus an in-ceiling, or maybe a bookshelf, and they'll do multiple Blue Sounds or NADs or WIMs or whatever, and then put them up locally, because then you can all network them together now, since it's a network-based world we live in, and now have a little bit different way of doing things, and then add on to it if you want. Oh, you want to add speakers in this room? Put a bookshelf, and put a WIM amp or a Blue Sound or NAD, preferably, or Eversolo, whatever.
Right.
And it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it just seems from the perspective of an installer that would be easier, just
Well, yeah, but nobody wants to look at. You got to find a place to put the amp.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to run speaker wires. Where are you going to put the speakers? So there's the world that I live in. We have to work with architects.
Yeah.
And some are divas, high-end interior designers, the client, the woodworker, the builder, the electrician. So there's when you pay an integrator like what I did forever, or whoever, like your friends out at your local shop, you're paying for expertise and knowledge in management of all these things. It's just not put some speakers in a room. It's not like that at all. There's 100 factors that go into it, and you can't always place them where the design always wins aesthetically in a home, period.
Yeah.
So, but fortunately for companies like KRA and Sonance, and not promoting them, but I'm just saying these kind of companies have built all kinds of really cool products for us as integrators to give people good sound and still preserve the look of the room.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I should say that this channel is not sponsored by Sonance or KRA.
Well, dude, who else am I supposed to talk about? How you going to talk about audio without talking about a brand, huh? So
Yeah,
you're a show.
No, I can already see it now. The comment section is going to be on fire. Did you hear what they said? Yeah, I'm going to drop an affiliate link for all these brands. Yeah, I'll do that.
Why not, dude? No, dude, you're super paranoid. I just don't give a shit. Like,
no,
I like what I like. If they're a cool company and a cool brand, call me whatever you want, dude.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely down to recommend what I'm used to using. As a matter of fact, my friend Blake, I don't know if he still is, but at one point he was a rep for Sonance because I was looking at doing something in my old home. Yeah, and I was pulling up all the different stuff they had, man. I remember
and they own James loudspeaker, which is like the step up from Sonance, and they make, dude, I put these crazy speakers in many clients' homes. You have to do it when the walls are down, right? You have to. It's a big aluminum housing that goes up between the trusses, right? And it has a little bitty like 5-inch hole in it.
Yeah.
So inside of that has a aluminum like in some kind of chamber high output driver, and then when you come trim it, you put the tweeter and the mid-ranger in kind of a module with vents on them so the sub plays through, and you got to biamp them. I mean, they're like $6,500 a pair, but dude, these things will play like 120 dBs in your ceiling, like a concert. So James is doing God's work, making some, because most people don't want to see speakers, period. Especially some of the ones you like the MoFis and the Kef blades. And,
Well, and I didn't even realize that there were speakers. You know what they're called, but it escapes me. But it's when you basically mud them in, right?
I guess invisible speakers. Yeah, invisible speakers.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Sonance makes them. Several companies make them. I've used them for years. They sound okay. Like the new Sonance ones sound really good. They're a means to an end. I know a lot of the reps are like, you could do a whole surround system with them. I'm like, no, but they're not bad now. They used to be a lot worse than they are now. Now they sound pretty decent. And it's cool because where's the sound come from? You can actually put your hand on the wall and feel it. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool.
But again, your audience and what we do as integrators, we deal with high net worth individuals that are building, like I've done houses that are 100,000 square feet. 100,000 square feet.
Oh, that's nothing.
Big money. It's all about aesthetics and design. It's not about, dispersion and this and that. If they got decent sound, we do our best. And I always did my best. And that's why customer and client referral all came to me, because I would take these aesthetics, and I've done so many systems and worked with so many designers that I could kind of help guide them and have a compromise on the design versus the sound, utilizing products from like Leon, which is another company, even Clips, Paradigm, Focal. They all have products now that allow us to put really great sound, but still preserve the aesthetics of a room, a family room or whatever. I think that's really, really cool. But the people in the conventional audio world are going to piss on it every time because they just don't know.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I mince words, right? So sorry.
No, I mean it's probably true, but I think that, I mean, even I'm surprised because I'm looking here at the comments and all these people are like, oh yeah, I've used KRA and I've used all these other brands, and I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't realize all these guys, that
did a big audience.
Yeah, actually do this stuff. So
yeah,
that's cool.
I'm going to start advocating more for integrators on my channel and my.
Well, you should, and here's why I say that. When I was younger, I did everything myself because I had no extra money. So I would buy raw drive units from MataSoundSpeakerStore.com. I would install them myself. I would put speakers together myself. I would build the crossover networks all active because I didn't have the time or patience for building passive crossovers. I would do all that stuff. And I would never pay anybody to do the work to make things look good. So you talking about like bare, unfinished MDF cabinets that weren't even rounded. Just, they were functional. They weren't fantastic. But as I've gotten a little bit older and time is really a priority of mine, I spend the money on these kind of things, right? So I think that it's important to recognize that sometimes you have to farm out work. Like even right now, for me to get sod in my yard and for me to get a fence, the fence is going to be crazy expensive. So now I'm like, well, I'm gonna build my own fence, but I'm gonna pay somebody to come in here and dig post holes for me because I don't want to do that, right? So you're farming out work. But I think in the audio realm of things, especially guys who are wanting to go with in walls and things like that, maybe that's a little bit outside of their comfort zone. You need to talk to somebody, and you're going to have to pay for somebody to do that work because you could be like me, where you don't pay for that work because you think you can do it close enough for free, and then it winds up costing you a boatload of money in the end, and you wish you just paid somebody to do it.
So, thoughts on that? There are an amazing amount of do-it-yourself people out there building theaters, right, or whatever, and there's a literal ocean of information available if you can seek through it.
Yeah.
However, there are 100 little mistakes you're going to make that you didn't know because it's not out there because people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I'll start off this. 50% of integrators, they call themselves that, shouldn't be integrators. They come from security or this and that, and they're like, oh, I can put some speakers in. I can do this. I can do that. You know, they do. Or, I'm a whiz bang at doing automation. I'm gonna make your lights and your total flush and this and that, right? And they just see the dollar signs.
Yeah.
However, there are a multitude of professional, just as professional as a doctor, a lawyer, whoever, who have done their diligence. They put in the time. They've got experience. They go to the trainings. They know every system from motorized shades to linear lighting to HVAC control to home automation to mechanical to proper audio video to doing a proper theater to doing, I mean, that's a lot of disciplines to master. And that takes time and that takes money. And to have a company where you have a service department, to have a company where you are able to be direct dealers for the right products, that's not buy everything from a distributor like ADI, right? You have to discern that for yourself. But if you hire a professional integrator, yes, it's going to cost you. Not going to lie. But what you're paying for is an end product that is reliable, aesthetically perfectly done, sounds amazing, looks amazing, and enhances your life over a long period of time. And they have the support because all electronics break. I don't give a shit what your integrator says. Mm-hmm. Nothing is 100% reliable. But a good integrator can make a system 98% reliable and be able to service it remotely when it does have a snafu. That's what you're paying for. These guys that are integrators for many years are true pros. They're amazing, and they know how to deal with a high-end, ultra high-end interior designer. They know what a Coford ceiling is. They know what a damn Lagosier is. They know, all these different terminologies. They know how to deal with a framer. They know how to deal with an electrician on lighting control, lighting setup. They know how to deal with the home builder. That takes time. And, tuition and school are expensive. So if you go hire a lawyer, see what you're going to get for the bargain discount, or a doctor. An integrator is no different. I highly recommend, if you're in a situation, you want something done right, you don't really know if you're going to be able to pull it off from the ground up building, hire a CEDIA or good integrator. Just because they're CEDIA doesn't mean they're good. Hire a really good integrator, ask for referrals, call me, get a proposal. I'll look the proposal over and tell you if they're full of shit or they're legit. I'm just saying, I mean.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that maybe that's something that you can offer as a service where.
Absolutely. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I mean, pay me a few $100 versus making a mistake for $100. Dude, I've done systems that were over $2 million. Like a multitude.
Yeah, I know.
Big systems.
So some of them, yeah.
You can lose a lot of money if you don't pick the right company.
Well, I mean,
look at their design.
Yeah, the way that you're talking about it, it kind of makes me think of, when you go to buy a used car, right? And I'm not saying that these guys are used car salesmen, but when you go to buy a used car, the first thing you do is you go to your mechanic that you trust and you say, hey, take a look at this thing and make sure it's all right. So in that sense, you would be like the mechanic, right? Where you say, hey, yeah, I'm going to charge you for my time. I'm going to look over everything. I'm going to make sure everything looks good. And then you can feel extra confident that you're
You
getting the right
you
deal.
go take your Lexus to Billy Bob, and he's got his ass crack hanging out, and he's a little dirty, but he's cheap, man. He don't charge much. Or you can go to a proper dealership, pay more, understand that you got what you paid for, you had it done right, and that they will back it up and service it. Not everybody can do that, and I get it. I'm not a big money guy at all, but I'm telling you, integrators that know what they're doing are solid gold, and they're worth spending extra money on, or even do a consulting with them. I mean, to support after the sale is a big deal. Unless you're a big do-it-yourself guy and you want to do HomeKit or something yourself. If you're going to do automation, lighting control on a large scale home, I don't mean a 2,000 square foot home. I mean a 10 to 8,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. You want to get somebody who knows what they're doing. From your network, I mean, we're all basically network experts. We know how to do a prosumer, like it has all the features and capabilities of a enterprise grade network in a home. However, it's designed for a home. So that way you've got good, solid, reliable Wi-Fi wherever you go, because that's kind of a foundation. The equipment room, the rack's done properly. It's wired properly. It's a work of art. It's serviceable. There's proper ventilation. When they build your theater, they don't put big, ugly vents above your head. They go on every spot where it's silent on a quiet place. There's 100 little idiosyncrasies that experienced integrators bring to the table. Yeah. And I got no skin in that. I'm not an integrator anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good way to end this because it's almost 9:15 my time, and I'm going to try to get some sleep. As you know, I was up really late last night, so I'm wore out. But thank you for joining me, and thank you to everybody for asking some questions in the chat. Don,
can I say one more thing before we exit?
Absolutely, do go ahead.
I know this man personally very well, and the level of integrity, knowledge, and just human caring and decency are rare in this world. And you guys, whoever knocks this kid or whatever is an idiot, because I'm telling you, it's a quality man putting out a quality product, and you damn sure should listen to what he says. That's it.
You make me cry, brother. All right. Well, I appreciate that, man. That's nice. I appreciate that.
Well, that's the truth. That's period.
Well, so I know it, and that means something to me. So I appreciate that. All right, y'all.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Well, holler,
Digital Don EP. Digital Don EP.
Hold up. Before you go, I'm going to drop
the fans
one more time. You know, we're going to have to figure out how, if we do this again, to make it to where it streams on your channel at the same time. I looked into that, but I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'd have to give me your login. And I'm like,
I'm the best known guy on YouTube that has like 400 followers.
Yeah, I know it.
Well, I just started my channel, so
we got to pump those numbers up. Yeah, and you were down for a while too, but you're back. So we'll get you there. You look like a ghost, man.
Love all you. Thank you.
All right, man. See y'all later. Peace.
Holla.